the scallop grounds from Marker 1 in Crystal River, it probably only takes about 5 minutes or so. You just head due south, it's right there between Crystal River and Homosassa. You have a big area of grass flats, and the scallops are in anywhere from just a couple feet of water out to probably 7, 8, 9 feet of water, maybe a little deeper. But we typically scallop in about 3 to 5 feet of water. All right guys, we're out here scalloping out of the plantation on Crystal River, and you would think it's a real simple process, which it is, but there's several things that you're going to want to have to make sure you have a really good day on the water and a fun day on the water. Number one, of course, which everyone's probably not going to forget, is a good mask and snorkel like my Cressi Metis mask that I have here and my Ara soft blade fins, and this is more than sufficient for scalloping. I could use something like this for scuba diving as well, or even free diving in shallower water. I use a long fin when I'm free diving in deeper water, and a shorter fin if I'm trying to maneuver around wrecks when I'm scuba diving or just in real shallow water like this. But I like this fin because even though it says it's a soft blade, it's still a pretty, heavy fin. It's still got, some backbone to it, so you can push your way through this current. Here's a good set of kids fins here, the Palau fins and, kids masks. They have a variety of masks and snorkels for kids through Cressi. Really good products, and the kids love these. They fit them great. They don't fog up easy, and they don't let water in, which is nice. So after you have your masks, fins, and snorkel, another thing you don't want to forget is a good dive flag. You gotta have a dive flag, and it has to be the right size. Make sure you check your regulations in your area. I'm out of Crystal River, Florida, and that's a pretty standard size dive flag there. Also, your scallops, your limit is 2 gallons per person per day, and you have a maximum of 10 gallons per boat. So if you have 15 people on your boat, you can still only have 10 gallons of scallops. A great way to measure them that I found is just use a 5-gallon bucket. It's the easiest way to do it. Fill a 5-gallon bucket up if you have more than 2 people on the boat. Right there is your 5 gallons, then you dump it in your cooler. You know that you have 5 gallons in there. We're gonna have 5 people on the boat today, so we're able to get 10 gallons. We will not put more than 2 of these buckets in there. So if we get a bucket and a half, we know we're within our limit. Just throw that in the cooler. Another thing that makes it easy for you measuring, because I know some people run into issues like that. Everything else here is pretty simple. You're gonna wanna have a bag like this, and I see people carrying sometimes real long bags. I prefer shorter bags. This is about as long as I like to use right here. Actually, this one's even a little better, because the shorter the bag, the less drag you have in the water when you're carrying that bag with you. You just come back, dump your scallops in the 5-gallon bucket, and go on. And the only other thing I really have here is just a big gorilla bag that I use to carry all of our gear in, so you may want one of those. So once you have the essentials, you're really ready to go scalloping. And one other thing actually that I'm wearing here, this is actually my rash guard. Most of the people you see out here won't be wearing rash guards. I do recommend using a lot of sunblock, especially since your back's facing straight up. And that's one of the reasons I wear this rash guard, because it's very easy to get burnt out here. And with this rash guard on, I'm not going to get burnt. That's going to completely protect me from the sun, but also in case there's some jellyfish out here. There's not a lot of them, but there are some. So if you have the rash guard on, if one bumps into you, it's going to give you that extra layer of protection. So once you have all these things, you guys are ready to go scalloping. When you're trying to scallop, the places that you'll look for them is usually down in the turtle grass or the eel grass that you'll see growing there on the flats. Or sometimes there's like this knotted up other kind of it's not a sargassum grass, but some other kind of grass. I'm not really sure what it is. And the scallops will usually sit right on top of that, and you can see them really easy that way. When they're down in the turtle grass, sometimes it's a little harder to spot them, but they're down in there, and they just sit there kind of with their shell open, or their mouth open, I guess you could call it, and you see all their little eyes running along, and they're just sitting there filter feeding. They're a filter feeder, so that's how they'll be sitting there. And if you actually kick up the grass or spook them, they will start kind of just shooting out of the way, pushing water through their shell to get away from you. Scallops are very tasty, and that's one of the main reasons people do it, is because of how good they are to eat. I mean, you can eat them fried, you can eat them baked, you can eat them just about any way you want. I like them sauteed in garlic and onions and stuff. So many ways to do it. Scallops are amazing to eat. And also, if you do get your scallops and you bring them back to the plantation on Crystal River, they have people right there on site that you can pay to shuck them for you, so you don't have to worry about cleaning them. And then if you want, you can bring them into the West 82 Bar and Grill right there on site, and they'll cook them up for you. After we got quite a few scallops at that first spot, we got back on the boat, got out of our Cressi Gear, and got ready to move to another spot. And when you're moving to another spot, when you're scalloping, you really don't have to move far. Sometimes you're only moving a couple hundred yards just to get in a fresh area that you haven't kind of combed through yet, just to look through the grass. One of the most exciting times of year in Crystal River is scallop season. People come from all over the state and even all over the country to get scallops here in Crystal River. And one of the reasons why is because it's one of those activities that you can do at almost any age. My kids started doing it when they were 4 or 5 years old, and they still love doing it today, of course. And I know I'm a full-grown adult and I love doing it as well. And I mean, you can go out there with your grandparents. People of all ages can do it. So it's one of those activities that's good for the entire family.